Today we're checking out this Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper with LED spotlights in texture black for the 2010 and newer Ram 2500. If you want more rear end protection, a tougher look, and a built-in lighting solution, this bumper is definitely worth checking out. This is a full-width rear bumper designed to take hits that would fold a factory bumper. With this bumper, you get a rugged off-road style with corner steps and contours that follow the back of the truck perfectly. One great feature is going to be the pair of 3-inch LED cube lights that are going to help when you're backing up in the dark or lining up a trailer. The bumper is compatible with that factory backup sensor, and it's built specifically for the Ram 2500, so the frame mounting points, the toe points, and the corners are all gonna land right where they should instead of feeling like some type of universal misaligned afterthought. Day to day, you're gonna get better protection from trail obstacles and parking lot bumps, and more useful rear lighting, and also a rear style that looks like a serious truck that stands out from stock. When it comes to the construction on this, you are getting heavy-duty 3mm steel plating for the main body bumper. You're also going to get a premium 2-stage texture black powder coat finish for long-lasting corrosion resistance. The LED cubes use tough aluminum housings with polycarbonate lenses that are weather sealed, so they're built to handle rain, mud, or road salt without fogging or failing over time. That combination of thick steel, durable powder coat finish, and quality lighting means the bumper is ready for real off-road use and year-round daily driving. Now, as far as the pricing goes on this, it is coming in right in that $900 price range. For a full-width, heavy-duty steel rear bumper with built-in LED cubes that's going to reuse those factory mounting points to simplify the install process, it's a pretty solid value in my opinion. When it comes to the install on this one, it's going to get rated just a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can have this job done in 2 hours of your time. Now let's head on out to the shop. We're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
For this install, you will need various impacts, a ratchet, various length extensions, a 4mm Allen socket, 10, 12, and 15mm sockets, 15 and 18mm swivel sockets, the provided Allen wrench, 10mm wrench, 14mm ratcheting wrench, angle cutters, needle nose pliers, wire strippers and crimpers, a clip removal tool, a large pry tool, and also not shown here is T-taps and male spade connectors.
All right, today we're going to be installing a rear bumper on our Ram, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to start things off by removing our tag. Now ours is already off. These are held on by various screws depending on how you put yours on. You can use a flathead screwdriver, or maybe a 10mm socket, whatever holds your tag in place. Once we have that off, it's going to expose our 2 push clips as well as our 2 15mm nuts, which we'll have to remove. So I've got my clip removal tool and I've got a 15mm socket on my impact. We'll get all these out of the way and then we'll get underneath and continue. All right, so now we're underneath our rear bumper and we need to unplug our main harness that controls our tag lights, our trailer plug, and everything underneath inside of our bumper. So we're gonna release our safety tab and pull back on our main release. Sometimes these can be a little stubborn. So once you have your tab pulled back or out, it does come out. You've gotta press down on your release, pull back on your main release, and we can unplug our harness. Now we can undo our 2 15mm bolts on each side of our bumper brackets. So we've got our 15mm socket. We'll get those off. Now for this upper bolt, you may need a swivel socket. Once you have these 2 out, you can do the same thing for the other side. Make sure to support your bumper because you don't want it to fall on you while you're underneath it. Now we can grab our bumper, remove it, and set it aside. All right, so now that we have our bumper out, we've got it on the table because we're going to need to remove our harness as well as our trailer plug and our tag lights, everything else here, because we are going to be reusing that on the new bumper. So what we'll do is unplug everything first, and then we're going to use our clip removal tool to remove it from its locator clips all along the back of the bumper. We'll start with our trailer plug, push in your tab, unplug that. Same with your tag lights, just push in your release tab and unplug those.
Now, if you have parking sensors, you will need to unplug and remove those as well. We do not, so we do not need to do that. Now we're gonna grab our clip tool and start popping all these out. Once we have our clips out, set our harness out here. So next we can remove our trailer plug from our bumper. Now that's held in by these two silver tabs on the back side. You just have to pinch those in and push your plug out behind the bumper. Now sometimes these are a little stiff, so it does help to get a flathead screwdriver. Pry in one side and the other, and remove our plug. Next, we can remove our tag lights. They're held in by a single 10mm screw on the back side. So we've got a 10mm socket and a small extension on my ratchet to get those out. And those will just fall out into the front side of your bumper, and we'll do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now we've got our new bumper up on the table, and because we are running our spotlights, we're gonna have to remove the factory mesh panel for our inserts. They're held in by 4mm Allen head screws with 10mm nuts on them. So we got our 4mm Allen socket and our 10mm wrench, and we'll get those out of the way. Remove our panel. Once you have this one out, you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we're going to install our pod lights. They come with this U-bracket. Now what you want to do first before anything else is grab your provided mounting bolt, and we're going to send that through our bracket. It's going to help keep that locked in place because it's very hard to get it in once you install the bracket to the light. So after we have that done, we're going to install our bracket onto our light. Now you have to slip this in. These have mounting holes on the side. We're going to line these up and get our provided Allen head screws with lock washers in place. Put that here. You're going to take your provided nuts and then drop them into the slot using your bracket as kind of a backstop. Sometimes it takes a couple tries. Once you have that in, you can grab your Allen head screws. Get those lined up with our nuts on each side. We'll take our provided Allen wrench and tighten these down. Now you're going to have 3 mounting slots in each of your spotlight areas. You can choose whichever one you wish to mount it to. We're going to go with this inner one. So we're going to line up our mounting bolt, put that through. We're going to come in with our flat washer and lock washer. Now this is a little bit tricky. Now once you have this hand tight, you can move it in or out depending on where you want your light to sit. We're going to push ours out. Snug that down. And once we have our bracket and light in position, we'll grab our 14mm ratchet wrench, tighten this down. Now we can reinstall our mesh backing plate. So we're going to slide this back through. You do have openings for your wires to come through. We'll reinstall our 4mm Allen head combo bolts and 10mm nuts. And now we'll tighten these back down with our 4mm Allen socket and 10mm wrench. And once you have this side installed, you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now we can install our trailer plug. We have an opening that is an OEM size, and we're just going to slide this in, and these retainers are going to lock back into place.
slide this through the front, push that in, and lock right back in. Now the tag light for this is going to be a single tag light setup. It's going to go into this circular opening through here. So we're going to have to feed our wires through and then pop this in. Bring those in. Now you want to make sure the light side of your tag light is facing towards your tag and not away or any other direction. You can push that into place. Now you'll notice on the back side of the tag light, you have these prongs all around it. If you want a tighter grip on your bumper for mounting, you can bend some of those back. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to bend ours back, but you can take some needle nose pliers or something like that, and then just bend those out. You don't have to bend them all the way back, just enough to keep your tag light from moving around. All right, so now we're going to plug our trailer plug back in, just like so. Make sure that locks into place. Now for our tag light, we're going to be tapping into one side of our original 2 tag light setup, and the other side you will not have to use. Now you do want to cover that connector, say with duct tape or something like that, just to keep it out of the elements. So what we're going to do is just bring this over. We're going to choose this side. You can choose either or. These are a simple 2-wire plug. White is power, black is ground. We're going to add in some spade connectors and T-taps to get into this harness. Now we're going to tap into our tag lights. Now if you do need to cut some of your fabric loom back, I highly recommend a razor, a very, very sharp knife, and be careful not to nick your wires in the process. So we've got some of ours exposed. We've got our T-taps. These are going to have the wire sit in this metal saddle like so. Clamp that around. Now, I like to use needle nose pliers and just give it a gentle squeeze so it snaps into place like that. And we'll do the same thing for our other wire. So now we're going to take our positive and negative from our new tag light, and we're going to strip back some of our sheathing with our strippers. Once we have these stripped, I like to give them a slight twist just to prevent any stragglers from poking out. We'll grab our spade connectors. Put that in, crimp those down. Then you can do the same thing for your negative wire. Now these just simply plug into our T-taps. So our red wire is going to go to our white wire with blue stripe. And then black to black for ground. Now we're going to need to secure our excess harness out of the way. Your kit does come with zip ties, and there are these 2 tabs on the back of your bumper for just that. We've got our zip tie, put this through. We can trim our tails with our angle cutters. Now we're going to set our bumper in place. You want to make sure your main harness plug is facing towards the driver's side as it was from factory, so we can plug that back in. We're going to get it lined up and get our 2 15mm nuts from the front of our bumper back in place. So now we're going to secure our bumper to our factory mounts with our supplied double nut plate and our supplied bolt with lock washer and flat washer for each hole. Once you got this side hand tight, you want to do the same thing for the other side. Then we'll come back and tighten these down. Now we can tighten these down with an 18mm swivel socket on our impact. Then you can do the same thing on the other side. Now we can plug our main harness back in. Line this back up. And we're going to pull our security clip back into place and lock that in. And if you did fully remove your retainer tab, reinstall that. Now we can secure this up out of the way however you'd like. Again, your factory mounting point is no longer there. You just want to make sure this is out of the way of any hot or moving parts. They're not dangling down like this so it catches and rips your harness off. Alright, so now we need to install our harness for our spotlights. We've come to our engine bay. We're going to be hooking up to our battery as well as running our switch through to our cab. The first thing we want to do is take our negative and positive connectors. Your positive has an inline fuse. We're going to pull that out for now to keep our circuitry dead while we hook everything up. Pull this out. Just set that right here. Now we're going to take our 12mm socket and remove the nut off our positive terminal so we can install our positive cable. Make sure you go under this cross member. Install that. Install our nut. Tighten that back down. Now for our negative connector, we're not going to go directly to the battery. We're going to go to this ground strap off here on the side of our firewall. So we've got our 10mm socket on our ratchet. We'll remove the nut and install our connector and reinstall that. Now in order to run our switch through to our cab, we're going to need to access our grommet that is behind this sub fuse panel right behind your battery. It's held in place by two 10mm screws, so we've got a 10mm socket and a long extension. Also have a magnet that's going to help me retrieve our two screws, and we're going to unbolt this and kind of push it down and behind the mount so it gets it out of the way so we can access our grommet. Get that moved down out of the way, and then we can access our grommet. So now we've got our switch. There's a couple of ways to get this through your grommet. You could cut a slit in both sides of your grommet and send it through that way, or you can take a large pry tool or a flathead screwdriver and kind of wedge the side of the grommet out of the way and push it through that way. Ours already has a cut in it, so we're just going to get in there and push this through with a pry tool. Now we've got our grommet pushed to the side. Get our switch through. All right, so now that we've got our switch through, we're going to reinstall our sub panel. So we're just going to move that back into place. Use our magnet to get our screws back in. Tighten those back down with our 10mm socket. All right, so now that we have everything else hooked up, what we need to do is run our connectors and wiring back to our rear bumper. We're gonna go down through our engine bay and run our wiring along our frame rail and back to our rear bumper. Now, there's a couple spots it's kind of hard to see unless you're right here by the battery. If you can see light and the ground underneath, that's a good spot to run these wires. So we'll drop these down. Have to kind of aim them towards the opening. There's a good one right behind your brake booster. Goes straight down behind your fender liner. Once we get it down to that point, we can grab it and pull it through. Just want to make sure this doesn't get caught on anything while you're feeding it. Tuck that back there. Now while we're still right here, we're going to reinstall our fuse into our inline tap. Then what we'll do is make sure our switch is in the off position before we plug our lights in. So put this back on. Reinstall our cover. All right, so now we're going to mount our switch. Now it should be right behind your parking brake pedal, so you want to reach back and grab that. And it has an adhesive backing, so we'll remove the cover. And you can stick this wherever you'd like. We're just going to go right here. You just want to make sure it is not impeding any of your pedal's functions or caught on any wiring. Tuck that back. And again, you have a simple on-off function. All right, so now we've got the remainder of our harness and our connectors. This is going to run along our frame rail underneath our vehicle. We want to make sure it goes over top of our rear axle and gets secured up out of the way so it is not going to interfere with that. Then we'll plug it in, then we'll come back and secure the rest of our harness. All right, so once you have your wiring at your rear axle, again, it's very important to keep it out of the way of the axle and the suspension. You don't want to pinch or tear your harness or damage anything in the process. You can do this however you'd like. There's a bunch of spots where you could secure this. There's a harness up here you could also run to. You could feed it up through there, or
Your bump stop mount is actually a good spot to send your wiring through. It's going to keep it up out of the way. Now we'll plug our lights into our connectors for our spotlights. Make sure that clips into place. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Once you have both of these plugged in, you can secure the rest of your harness up and out of the way. Now, since we don't have parking sensors, we're going to install our provided caps into our parking sensor holes. They just pop in like so. Once you got the first one in, you can do the same thing for the other 5. Now, since we have a hitch, we're going to cover our bumper ball mount area. Just pop our cover on. Then we can install our tag mount squares. You can reinstall whatever tag you have. Now you may notice we did not reinstall our 15mm nuts on these 2 studs. This bumper does not sit far back enough for you to reinstall those. These are simply openings for the heads of these studs to go through so it can sit flush. Alrighty, that about wraps up our review and install of our Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper with LED spotlights and textured black finish for your 10 to current Ram 2500 and 3500. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.